Picture a continent larger than South America, home to 64 million people and 7 great cities, wiped out in a single night. No geologist has ever found a trace of it. No expedition has ever recovered its ruins. Yet for over a century, writers insisted this vanished land called Mu was the true birthplace of human civilization. So where did this story actually come from, and why does the evidence keep falling apart the moment you look closely? The story begins not in the Pacific, but in the jungles of Yucatan, in the 1800s. An antiquarian named Augustus Le Plongeon was digging through Maya ruins, convinced he'd found proof that this civilization predated Greece and Egypt themselves. He claimed to have translated the sacred Popol Vuh directly from ancient Mayan script. And buried in his research, he said, was the story of an even older, vanished continent. But here's the twist nobody expects: the name Mu itself came from a mistake. In 1864, a French scholar named Brasseur de Bourbourg tried to translate the Troano Codex, an ancient Maya manuscript, using a flawed alphabet. He believed he'd found a word, Mu, referring to a land destroyed by catastrophe. Modern scholars now know that alphabet was fundamentally broken. The entire legend of Mu was born from a translation that was wrong from the start. Le Plongeon didn't correct the error, he built on it. Following another writer's theory about Atlantis, he decided Mu and Atlantis were the same lost land, sitting somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. He wrote of a place destroyed by earthquakes and swallowed by the sea, echoing Plato's ancient account of Atlantis. Two separate myths, thousands of years and thousands of miles apart, had just been fused into one. That might have been the end of it, a strange footnote in 19th-century pseudoscience. Instead, decades later, a former British soldier named James Churchward took the name Mu and moved it entirely across the globe, out of the Atlantic and into the Pacific Ocean. His books, starting in 1926, didn't just resurrect the legend. They expanded it into one of the most elaborate lost world stories ever published. Churchward's origin story alone should raise eyebrows. He claimed that decades earlier, as a soldier stationed in India, he befriended a high-ranking temple priest. This priest supposedly showed him a set of ancient sunburnt clay tablets written in a language only 2 other people on Earth could read. Churchward convinced the priest to secretly teach him that dead language himself. No other historian, linguist, or archaeologist has ever independently verified any of this happened. According to Churchward, those tablets told the story of creation itself, Earth, and Mu, and a civilization called the Nakal, all formed by 7 divine commands from a 7-headed serpent. It was a creation myth designed, in his words, to dismiss the theory of evolution entirely. He backed his translations with a second source: over 2,000 stone tablets supposedly uncovered in Mexico by another researcher, William Niven. Churchward painted Mu as staggering in scope. 64 million people, organized into 10 tribes under a single government and religion. 7 major cities. Colonies stretching across other continents. A civilization he claimed flourished for nearly 40,000 years, described as superior in many respects to our own modern world. He even mapped its exact borders. Mu supposedly stretched from the Mariana Islands to Easter Island, and from Hawaii down to Mangaia. 5,000 miles across, 3,000 miles wide, bigger than the entire continent of South America. Rolling plains, vast rivers, massive estuaries. A land Churchward claimed had literally risen from the ocean floor, lifted by expanding volcanic gases trapped deep underground. And then, he claimed, it was gone. Almost overnight. A chain of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions tore through the land's granite core, which he said was honeycombed with massive gas-filled chambers. When those chambers emptied in violent explosions, the ground above simply had nothing left to stand on. The entire continent, he wrote, collapsed into the abyss and vanished beneath 50 million square miles of ocean. For Churchward, Mu wasn't just another lost land, it was the mother civilization of everyone else. He claimed Egypt, Greece, Central America, India, and Burma all descended from Mu's survivors. He pointed to Easter Island's megalithic statues as physical proof of its architectural legacy, insisting the same symbols and building styles appeared across cultures that, historically, never had any contact with one another. It's a compelling story. It's also, according to every geologist who has ever examined the claim, physically impossible. Continents don't sink. They don't collapse overnight from gas explosions in granite. The processes that shape ocean basins and landmasses unfold over tens of millions of years, driven by plate tectonics, not sudden catastrophic ruptures matching a single human lifetime. So why did the story spread so widely? Historian L. Sprague de Camp tackled this exact question in his 1954 book Lost Continents, tracing how ideas like Mu moved fluidly between pseudoscience and popular fantasy fiction. Readers wanted a lost golden age, a hidden origin for humanity more romantic than slow evolutionary change. Mu offered exactly that, a ready-made ancient mystery, wrapped in the authority of ancient tablets nobody else could check. And that's the detail that should stop you cold. Every version of this story rests on sources conveniently unavailable to anyone else. Le Plongeon's translation used a broken alphabet. Churchward's tablets were shown to him privately in India, taught in a language only 2 other living people supposedly knew, and never produced for independent study. No archive holds them. No photograph of the original tablets exists in any credible collection. William Niven's Mexican stone tablets, the supposed second proof, fare no better under scrutiny. Their authenticity as ancient artifacts documenting Mu has never held up. So we're left with 2 men, decades apart, each claiming access to unverifiable ancient texts, each describing a continent that violates basic geology. And yet the name Mu still surfaces today, in books, documentaries, and online forums, as if the case were still open. Maybe that's the real mystery here, not whether Mu existed, because the physical evidence says it couldn't have. The mystery is why a story built on a mistranslation, a secret priest, and tablets nobody else has ever seen managed to survive for over 100 years. It reveals something about how easily a good story can outrun the facts, especially when it promises a lost golden age of humanity. So the next time you hear someone mention Atlantis, Lemuria, or the lost continent of Mu, ask the one question nobody in this story could ever answer: where's the actual proof? If you found this deep dive into forgotten history fascinating, subscribe for more strange stories that never made it into your textbooks, because the truth is often far stranger than the myth.